needs to be on that or not. But. So this one's working, right? Let me get the handheld out.
Yeah. So it's going to be Houston.edu and I'm writing.
Okay.
Come, sit in front of us.
I can't sleep over here.
How much nervous?
It's just taking a while here to load up. Do you need to use my computer?
You should use the handheld mic because you sit still more.
Okay. Well, he's going to say it on his USB. How do I get to the USB on this?
No, it wasn't long enough.
So maybe.
Oh, yeah. We're happy to be here.
I think one of the.
How about now?
Okay.
Can you hear that on the? Yeah.
Can you hear this one?
So those two work. I think one of these works.
So the only. How hard is that? I can't get that to work, sorry. I thought it would work.
And I guess it's big to email.
Well, I just can't get my email to even load to.
It's just not working.
Just my hotspot's just not cutting it.
I think we're ready.
All right. Okay. I think it's working. No, that's great. I think we got it.
Hey.
So you should be able to. Awesome. Okay.
Our family
Let me
timeline.
do my little intro. Sorry, we should have two chairs.
No, we don't want to share. We're good.
Okay. All right, class. Hey, we're going to get started. Thanks for waiting. For those of you that were worried that I got fired last week or something because I wasn't here, no, because I wasn't here. Dylan's trying to get me fired. So I was actually in Sweden last week at a conference all about entrepreneurship. It was really cool. Anyone from Sweden? Anyone been to Sweden? No hands? Nobody. Okay, well, the main thing that I wanted to report back to you is that there are a lot of people in the world at universities who care about what you guys are doing right now, believe it or not. So I just want to reinforce that it's awesome that you're here in this class learning from people like Lindsey and Cory, because this is the kind of thing that can go with you throughout your whole life, you know. And you never know. You might be thinking right now, oh, I don't have any plans to start a business or something, but a couple of years down the road, you'll be like, oh yeah, what did those guys say about selling on Amazon? That was really important. So you'll refer back to this. Just really, really quickly, I've had a lot of you, I apologize, I haven't been good on responding to messages because I've been gone and it's been really, really crazy. So I just put two announcements up on Canvas. The first one is introducing my new TA, Cora Peterson. Let's give her a round of applause. Yes. It's not an easy job, and I'm really, really glad she's here. So she'll send out an announcement introducing herself later on Canvas. But if for the future, when you guys have questions about attendance issues, please message Cora first on Canvas, okay? A lot of you have messaged me about, like, you're not getting credit for attending, it's not showing up right. We are aware of the issues, that the system has not been syncing exactly right with Canvas. So we're working to fix that. We should have it fixed in about a week. So until then, don't rely on the Canvas automatically generated grade, okay? We're working to fix it. We're aware of it. Once we get everything switched over and imported, if there's issues then we can work through those, okay? So, without further ado, I want to introduce today's guest speakers, Cory and Lindsey Ramage. They're both good friends of mine. Cory and I went to BYU Business School together, and that's where we met about 12 years ago, I guess, 11 years ago. Yeah, so super old. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, you just said it. So it's been really fun tracking them over the years since they've moved around, and they're going to talk more about this, to Texas and all these other places. Cory's had a full-time job the whole time. He's been working for all these companies. But on the side, there's all of these like really cool side businesses that have popped up. You know, I like see something on Facebook that all of a sudden Lindsey is on like Good Morning Texas, right, with this Fast Easy Bread company, and then out of that grew this other company, Notch Kitchenware, which they're going to tell you all this story today. But they are really great examples of having a full-time job and full-time family. They have 5 kids and running several businesses online on the side and doing really well at it successfully. So I think if you've ever thought about selling anything on Amazon or maybe doing something on the side, you're going to get a lot out of their presentation today, so make sure you take notes. And they're also, the last thing I want to say about Cory and Lindsey is they're really, really willing to help students. If you have questions about any of the stuff they're talking about, they're more than happy to talk to you guys. You know, you can come up afterwards. They don't have a ton of time after this, but you can send them a message, and they're really willing to help mentor you and teach you what they know. So please give it up for Cory and Lindsey Ramage.
Okay. So I am going to be your color analyst today, and Cory is going to give you the play-by-play.
Hey, so Russ, thanks for having us here today. This is great. Appreciate the opportunity. So I'm going to give you a condensed history. First and foremost, I was a Badger myself. I've been here so long. It's been so long since I've been here, the colors have changed. This building didn't exist. But I played football at BYU, got back from a mission, played spring ball at BYU, realized I wasn't going to play, so I transferred to Snow, played here for a year, and then transferred back to BYU for the next spring. So any football players out here? All right.
Go Badgers.
Go Badgers. Anyway, so yeah, I started, that was back in 1997. So this is just kind of, Russ kind of covered this, but we're basically, we had, you know, I took a full-time job. I did an undergrad in computer science, took a full-time job in Houston at ExxonMobil. At the same time, Lindsey was teaching preschool to our littlest one at the time, or
Yes,
our oldest one
these
now.
moms came up and asked if I would take their children that they didn't like. So I said, sure, because I only had a newborn, and they were like, and we'll pay you. And so we'll get to this later, but when opportunities arise to make money and someone says you'll be good at something that they want to pay you for, do it.
So entrepreneurship kind of started early with the preschool teacher and what was going on there. When we went to business school, BYU actually requires that you can't work when you go to business school full-time. So while I was there, Lindsey took over doing cookie deliveries and trying to help us make ends meet.
And so I recruited his entire family. On Valentine's Day, everyone had to deliver cookies around Utah County. And it was good money, but there's always things that come up that someone wants to pay you for, so do it.
So I kind of always had this ambition to do something for myself. I wanted to do an entrepreneurial business. Part of the reason I went in computer science was I thought I'd develop an app or do something along those lines. But anyways, went back to school, got a business degree, MBA, and that's when I started. Just shortly after that, I started I got laid off. Well, I didn't get laid off. Obama basically killed the aerospace industry where I was working at Textron. And it caused a 8-week furlough, which basically means you don't get paid. They shut down the company basically for 8 weeks. Nobody gets paid. So I collected unemployment. I started this business called Head Coach Sports. It was a drop ship model, still exists today. And it basically just drop ships from other suppliers. So I found people who are willing to give me equipment for a discounted price if I was willing to sell it for them. They ship it out. I didn't have to pay anything except for hosting for a website, which you can do today with WordPress, or it's very, very small, minimal cost to get started on something like that. WordPress, BigCommerce, Shopify. There's different avenues to do that with. So.
And I don't know if you can notice this, but see how it says Madison born 2009, and then that Head Coach Sports starts?
It was the same day.
Yeah.
So I had 4 daughters. I figured I better start, and I was not getting paid, so I figured I better start.
And he was really sad because he had 4 daughters, so he went and did something manly.
We got our son. We got our son in 2014.
Yeah.
But anyway, then we started. I went back to work at Textron, and we'll get into kind of how Fast Easy Bread started in a minute. And then Notch Kitchenware kind of spun off from that. I like to stay busy, I guess, so I decided to coach football at Orem High School in 2017. Won state championship there with that, and it was a lot of fun. I work now at Qualtrics in Provo, and love doing that job up there. It's a great company, and I've learned some of the entrepreneur stuff from that company too, because it started in a basement with one of our professors from MBA school, and has grown to, I don't know how many of you know this, but earlier this year, or end of last year, kind of sold for $8 billion to SAP. So, yeah, that's a B.
So in one room, there were 3 billionaires when they announced it. It was super
least
cool.
3.
Yeah. So cool.
Okay, so we'll take a closer look at Fast Easy Bread. Like I said, it started as a partnership between 3 people. The story here is kind of funny. I'm going to try and make it quick. 3 guys got together, 3 computer nerds like myself. We got together and said, hey, we should start a business. We got together and brainstormed all these ideas. We put it on a spreadsheet, and we were talking about all these programs we could do and spreadsheets we could sell and different kind of services, whatever. We decided to get together for a dinner to kind of go through these ideas. And we showed up at the restaurant, and everybody ordered. The 2 other guys ordered, and they said, "Are you ordering?" I said, "No, I'm going to go home. My wife's making homemade pizza and homemade cinnamon rolls." Or I didn't know about the cinnamon rolls, homemade pizza. And they're like, "Man, that sounds good." So we went through our business ideas, came back the next day, and they said, "Hey, how was your pizza?" And I said, "Oh man, the pizza was awesome. And she made cinnamon rolls." And they're like, "Holy cow, does your wife spend all day making this stuff? Like, does she have anything else to do?" I said, "No, it's this recipe that she learned from my mom, and it takes about an hour to make those things." And they were like, "Holy cow, we should learn more about that. That sounds like a business idea right there. We should learn how to do that." And so we kind of started down that road. And here's where our first lesson learned came. The 2 other guys wanted Lindsey to participate in the business, and said that their wives would also be participating in the business, but they really weren't. So it was unfair partnership. And so Lindsey just wanted to be part of the business.
So then I said, hey, let's have a meeting. And I said, I would like a 1/4 of this company. And they said, well, if we give you a 1/4, that means you guys own half. And I was like, sounds about fair. And they did not like that at all.
And we went ahead and started the business, and we should have exercised all this up front and talked about how we wanted to structure the business before starting the business, because we put some money in. We had money. We put the money in. We bought all the stuff. We basically were doing all the work, had all the money. We were doing everything.
I was even the face of the company that I didn't own any of. It's true.
So they started spending money that was ours in ways that didn't make any sense. So we decided, you know what, we're going to dissolve this business, and we tried to make it as fair as possible in dissolving it. One guy tried to claim that he had made a brand out of it, so that he wanted us to pay for the brand. Now keep in mind, we'd only like sold about $40, $50 worth of stuff at this time.
Oh, yeah, it was
And
super small.
maybe $100, maybe. And he wanted us to, he wanted to charge us for this brand, which he'd taken a few minutes to do in like PowerPoint or something. So we said, no, we can come up with another name, keep your brand. So the company changed. It was bread making basics or something like that. I can't even remember. That's how valuable
It was
the
a
brand
long
was.
time ago.
And we changed it to Fast Easy Bread.
Because that is what someone asked me what the name was, and I was like, it's Fast Easy Bread, and that was it. That's all I could think of.
So the business model initially was Lindsey was teaching these classes. She'd go around to houses and teach classes.
I'd go to like where people wanted to learn stuff. So lots of women in like Bible study groups, in like, I want to learn how to cook, teach my teenagers how to cook, homeschooling things, like anybody who was interested in wanting to learn how to do it. And so I actually had to learn more of the science of what yeast is and what lecithin is and all of this stuff to like actually have some better talking points than like, just make treats all day. It's awesome.
And then I was also trying to apply some of the search engine optimization things that I learned about head coach sports to these products that didn't truly interest me. Baking is not really my passion
At all.
But trying to learn about it and do that. So the products that Fast Easy Bread sold was the SAF Instant Premium Yeast. I think they've got these.
Yeah. So I called the yeast company and I said, how do I get a whole bunch of yeast from you? And they were like, well, I only called you back because I had a Utah cell phone number and the guy was in like the middle of Kansas. And he goes, and I just dropped my daughters off at school at BYU. And I was like, okay, great. And he goes, let me just send you, we have a new product that it's not on the market yet. I'll just send it to you and you tell me what you think. And so that was this red package of yeast. So then I called the lecithin companies and I would just get to somebody who wanted to talk to me. And it usually was a secretary who was like, what do you want to do with all of this? And I would tell her what I wanted to do. And they were like, well, I'll just put it on my account and I'll send it to you. So do you have a loading dock? And I was like, I have a driveway. And so they did. They came and dropped stuff off on my driveway. And then people started helping us with warehousing, and like anytime someone offered, hey, I can help you with this, I have this, we would just say yes, and we pulled the trigger way faster than we were prepared on some things, but it usually all worked out. So
Yeah, so the lecithin story was that we got, as she mentioned, they dropped it off. We had to figure out how to get this stuff, and this stuff is
yeah, it's these two different ones.
This
Yeah.
is the soy lecithin we started with. And this stuff, nobody's probably ever heard of it. Has anyone ever heard of this stuff before? You? Okay.
It's on
Very rare, right?
everything you eat.
So it's in, if you look on any wrapper, soy lecithin, or some kind of lecithin is in it, right? And it's an emulsifier. I've learned all this stuff about this stuff, right? You got to learn about your business. And this stuff is like stickier than honey, kind of. It's like not very viscous. And so we had to try and figure out how to get it from 5-gallon buckets into bottles of some kind. We wanted to make a differentiator from the existing products out there, which were mostly glass bottles. So imagine this stuff that's so sticky and messy being in a glass bottle that potentially could break and be all over the place. And the other glass, like it would make it hard to pour out and measure and stuff. So we put a little cap on it that we could squeeze it and put it into a different, make it easier to dispense. Anyway, so we had to figure out how to get this into bottles. So we searched all over the place and found these pumps, hand pumps that you could do for 5-gallon buckets. They were supposed to be for oil. Figured out we could use those. I broke like 5 or 6 of those.
So at night, we would set it all up
And we'd just sit there and pump and then
while we watched
set
something.
stations up.
And then we'd label stuff, and then we sealed it, like we did the whole manufacturing of it.
And then I figured out how to do a gravity one where I put a hole in a bucket and glued some PVC into it, and then I had a valve on it so that we could just, move the bottle and pump it. And we did basically our own stuff until we got big enough to where we needed a co-packer, somebody to co-pack. And we called all over the country. We weren't even living in the state of Utah, called all over the country. And the one co-packer we got was in Orem, Utah. So that would do our volumes. That was kind of funny.
Yep.
I think we're going to skip those.
Oh,
The rolling pin story is good. Tell them the rolling pin story.
so I would teach these classes, and one year I watched this movie called Julie and Julia, which is about a blogger and Julia Childs. And I told my father-in-law, like, I want a French rolling pin. And he made it out of black walnut, which was super pretty. You want to hold it up over there? Yeah. And I'm like rolling out this dough, and this woman says, hey, I want to buy that rolling pin from you. And I was like, oh, my father-in-law just made it for me for Christmas. But sure, I'll sell it to you. I'm sure. And I was like, how much should I sell it to her for? And I was like, how much would I pay for it? And I was like, $25. She was like, great, sounds good. So I get home, and I tell his dad that I had sold his Christmas present he gave me, and he goes, oh, I can make more. And his
famous saying was, I'll make as many as you want. You sell them, and I'll make them. So, we were going to pay him to do them. And he famously said, if I'll figure out a way to get them made, you just have to get them sold. That lasted about
a year, 18 months?
Maybe a year.
And then he tapped
And
out.
he tapped out and said, I can't do it anymore.
Because we started selling thousands of them on Amazon. And Amazon was something that came into our lap because we had this awesome friend in Texas who just said, I don't understand why you're not selling this on Amazon.
Yeah, that's the home teacher says today. So a guy came over to our house and he kept telling us, why don't you get it? Why aren't you selling your stuff on Amazon? And we had kind of lost steam in the business. So imagine Lindsey going around to these classes, teaching them in places. We're living in Dallas. She's going. It was stressful for me because I got to watch all these kids at night while she goes to teach these classes, which is great to spend time with your kids. But the part that was more stressful was sending her into neighborhoods that I didn't know anything about at night. And so it was kind of getting to be a strain. And, Russ, you got to log in? Sorry, I let it go to sleep. So we were nervous about it. We were kind of losing steam. Lindsey her goal with starting this business was to get it to
pay off student
loans, which we'd done. So she was no longer incentivized, and so
I wanted to quit so bad.
She wanted to quit.
I wanted him to fire me. I was like begging and pleading to not have to do this anymore. And so then Amazon seemed like because I did all the customer service, which is a lot of work in a company.
This is probably my favorite story that I'm going to tell. So this home teacher comes over, and he says, hey, why aren't you guys on Amazon? I do e-commerce. And he's an Asian guy. He'd moved to Dallas from Shanghai. Mm-hmm. And you'd never know it, but the guy is a millionaire. Like,
you would never know.
A few times over.
He would show up at the school pickup at the same time I would to get all the kids, and he would just like casually go get his kids, and people in our neighborhood thought he didn't work. But he worked.
He came over anyway. He kept telling us, and I'd thought about Amazon before, but I know Amazon, and I don't know how many of you know this, but Amazon will take a portion of your sales. And that's part of being on the Amazon thing. So they're going to, you're going to reduce your margins by doing that. But I said, hey, I want to do this. I don't know, maybe not. And he said, okay, those seasoning injectors you put in meat, and I don't know how many of you know them, that look like a big hypodermic needle that you put stuff in the turkey or something and put seasoning in. And I said, oh yeah, I've seen those. And he goes, okay, on Amazon with that one item, one SKU, he said, I think I did about $56,000 in sales on that one item.
Last year.
In 1 year. And I said, Okay, let's talk tomorrow. Come on back. So he came back the next day, and he said, I was kind of fretting in this because I wasn't sure I'd actually done 56,000 in sales in that one item. So I looked it up, and he pulled it up right in front of me, and it was 91,000 in sales that he'd done on one item. And I said, okay, yeah, let's get serious about this. And I said, well, what are your margins on that? Because you can't be, Amazon's taking their cut. And he looks that up, and he's got a spreadsheet, pulls that up, about 46%. And to me, that said, okay, let's figure this out. So I said, well, what would I sell on Amazon? What do I need to do? And he goes, well, just start with what you got. Send it in.
So we had Fast Easy Bread and rolling pins.
I had rolling pins.
And that's all we had. So he said, just send what you have of rolling pins.
So I sent in rolling pins, and this rolling pin
It's like the most basic rolling
It's
pin.
a basic rolling pin, right? It's called a French style tapered rolling pin. Doesn't have the handles on it. And I sent 10 of these in. No, I sent one in.
With the 10.
And I sent like a bunch of different kinds. So this is a unique model that my dad had kind of come up with. We call it a Celtic knot. And this was unique to the market. No one was selling this kind of rolling pin or the black walnut.
right.
So I thought, oh, people might buy these on Amazon because they're unique, right? But this one, this one, I said, hey, I'm only going to send one in because the top selling rolling pin on Amazon was essentially looked identical to this. And I said, nobody's going to buy that because I have to, and my friend counseled me and I said, what price should I put it at? And he said, sell it at the price where you're going to make the margins you need, right? Sell it at the price that the margins you need are, right? So in other words, it doesn't matter how much you think other people are selling them for, sell it for what you need to make your money, your margins on. So I sold it for $29.99. The top selling Amazon rolling pin at the time looked very similar to this. It was like $8. And I thought, nobody's going to buy mine. And
We would have a party every time we sold 10.
and a week went by
And we had sold 10.
and we sold one. And I was like, oh, I better send more of those in. I sent 10 in. And all of a sudden I started selling. I'm like, why in the world are they buying mine? And part of it is a perceived value, right? Now, we do have to keep up with the value of it. We have to make sure that it's a top-notch rolling pin, right? Actually, my niece is here today, Allie, and her dad actually made some of these too for us. My brother made some of these for us for a long time. Mm-hmm. And making sure that the quality was better than what you might find somewhere else. So that's probably my favorite story is how we got onto Amazon. This mentor basically came over.
So Cory didn't want to do food products. And I was like, let me just see how hard it is. So Amazon has some gated categories, and food is one because obviously they don't want people selling stuff and poisoning people or selling drugs or whatever. So I
Seems harder.
Yeah. So I did all this research, and the next thing you know, they were like, okay, you can sell it. In one day. I'm like, Cory, we can sell all this lecithin on Amazon. And we had learned from our mentor that when you have one item and you add a second item, if you bundle them together, now you have 3 items. So that's just more products.
It's more SKUs on Amazon, more listings that you get to sell your stuff on.
So you see people all the time bundle stuff, and you're like, oh, I'm going to buy this Nerf gun, and they bundled it with 50 more Nerf pellets. I don't know what those are called. Bullets, whatever. And that person doesn't own Nerf, but they own that SKU because they bundled together the gun and the pellets. And so now they are the owner of that label, which is so awesome because they get control of the listing.
If you're going to sell on Amazon, you got to make sure you know the term buy box. What does the buy box mean? Is there anyone here that knows what the buy box is on Amazon?
You've seen it because you've all clicked
You've
it.
interacted with it. If you've bought anything on Amazon. Okay, the buy box on Amazon, when you open up a listing, let's say it's a Nike basketball, for example, right? When I come up on that listing on Amazon that says Nike basketball, and maybe that's a bad use because Nike might be a protected brand and maybe there's only one seller, maybe Nike's, but let's just stay with the examples. You got this Nike basketball, and let's say 10 people are selling it, okay?
The same
Nike
one.
basketball. On Amazon, there's only supposed to be one listing for one product. And then there's multiple people who are selling, multiple sellers who are selling that. But when you come to that page and you click buy, only one of those 10 sellers has that buy box, okay? So if you own the buy box, you're more likely to get a sale, because in order for me to pick a different seller, I have to take 2 clicks, right? I have to click, who are the other sellers selling this, and then choose that seller. But if you own the buy box, whoever's just clicked buy, that's owning the buy box. And the unique thing about creating your own brand with your own items to sell on Amazon is that you own the buy box. It's your product. No one else should be selling it. And there's ways to protect yourself against that, which we might or might not get into today. But it's called private labeling. If you private label and have your own product, then you own the buy box. So what Lindsey's saying is, if you take a Nerf gun and you take the bullets and you package them together, bundle them together, then now, and no one else is doing it, then that's sort of like a private labeled product, right? You now own the buy box because no one else is doing it. Now, somebody else might see that successful and they can put together that same bundle,
Right.
because those are 2 products that are out in the market people can get. But if you have your own product, your own manufacturer, your own process, you can own that buy box and kind of protect it and keep other sellers
So
out.
a way to do this right now, all of you, is finding products that you can get your hands on and you can bundle with something else. So as simple as buying like 50 hairbrushes and a bag of 50 scrunchies and bundling so many colors of scrunchies with the hairbrush and then listing it on Amazon, and to be those, is it Visco girls? Seriously, you post it on Amazon and you advertise to all those girls who want to be that. You might even throw a phone case in there. And the next thing you know, you have all of these products under your store and people are buying them as fast as you can get them loaded. So you just find things in the market. Like there's some places that lots of things go on sale at clearance at Walmart, and other parts of the United States want those, but they're not, like, say the University of Arkansas does amazing and they have tons of clearance t-shirts. Well, no one in Utah really cares that much about the University of Arkansas until they win a national championship, and then every little boy is like, Mom, I want a University of Arkansas shirt. And she's like, well, I want a hair scrunchie. And so you buy all of that, bundle it together, and then put it on Amazon. And you will go into Walmart now and go over to the clearance item and be like, man, this is a good product. Why? Oh, people here in Ephraim probably don't drink tons of coffee or tea or like different things that you could bundle with a mug and send into Amazon and sell it. So you just have to be creative on things like that. But FBA, we can't forget this.
So hold on. So in order to save some time for some questions, I'm going to speed ahead a little bit here on some of this stuff, but we're going to have about 25 minutes. Okay, so the 2 different models, I put some kind of pros and cons up here about drop shipping versus the Amazon model. There's another model that as we were on our drive down here, we wanted to mention too, that might be more applicable to the state that you're in and where you're at right now. So you can kind of take a glance at this, but there's a third model of Amazon, which is called, the term is retail arbitrage or online arbitrage.
Does anyone know what that is? Oh, yeah, tell me what it is.
When people go to Walmart and they actually buy, or some like Best Buy or something, maybe not Best Buy, but
Yeah.
they go and where there's even like Dollar Tree and say, oh look, there's 20 books of this book, and so they just send it in, or sometimes they'll keep it and do like the warehousing as well, where they'll just send them into an Amazon warehouse, and then when someone buys it, it's fulfilled through Amazon.
Right. So that's FBA stands for Fulfillment by Amazon, which gets you prime shipping.
Right, and I'll talk about that in just a second. But the retail arbitrage, just to stay on that for a second, is something that it takes, it's a starting place that a lot of people, we have a friend of ours who just quit his corporate job and is making a living doing retail arbitrage and online arbitrage. And if you can find suppliers and places that will give you really good deals on stuff that you can find or sold on Amazon, and you can make margins on, and what his rule of thumb is, he's got an Amazon Seller Central app that he logs in. He can scan items in a store or like plug them in and look them up. And basically it tells you after all of the shipping and after all of the Amazon fees that they take out, if he's still left with $1 per item, it's a go for him, right? He goes and buys it.
So he has, he has right now boxes full of Jell-O, and he sends them in, and he is making like $2 per like bundle of Jell-O, which is super cheap to like send it in. He bundles them up, people buy them. That's all he had to do was like purchase it, put it in a box, send it back into Amazon.
So it's a way that like, you know, you don't have to have a huge order from China like maybe we do with our stuff, or Ohio or wherever I'm ordering my stuff from. I have to make a minimum order quantity, right? I have to spend a large amount of money to get a large amount of stuff. Whereas if you're doing this retail arbitrage, you may be able to buy a few units at a time, whatever you got cash for, and then be able to sell them on Amazon and then put that cash back to work for more products. And if you can find repeatable things like he does, things that, and there's resources for this. If you Google online arbitrage, there's lots of odd podcasts and things like that you can learn from. But he basically learns how to, you know, repeat that process. Our mentor that taught us about Amazon would say, learn how to do something, rinse and repeat. Learn how to do something, rinse and repeat. And that's just what we keep doing. We started with cutting boards. We started with these small cutting boards. We went to larger cutting boards. And part of this too is trial and error. You put it out there. This is some utensils with a utensil holder,
This is funny.
which Lindsey had mentioned before. We had 3 SKUs, right? So we had the holder, we had the utensils, and we had the utensils and holder, which is 3 SKUs, right? Three items, 3 listings.
Which one do you think would sell the most? Yeah.
The bundle, right?
So did I.
That's what we thought. So
No.
we bundled them up and we put them out there, and the bundle actually sold so bad that we no longer even put that listing out there. They sell better as individual items. I don't know why.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense to me, but some of it's trial and error. And so a lot of people have, you know, think about the risk of Amazon. You're going to put all this cash in to get an order from China or from a supplier in Ohio, or, you know, to go to a Vegas trade show and get a big order. And that's true. You are going to put a lot of cash out there. You are going to put it out there. But my mentor eased my concerns about that by saying, look, if you're going to sell it on Amazon for this margin that you have to make, remember, sell it for what you have to make. If it doesn't move at all, and if it's not moving, are you going to be able to sell it for the price that you paid for it, plus basically the break-even point? Are you going to be able to sell it for that? Well, yeah, because they're going to get an awesome deal on it then. Well, yeah, so then sell it, get your cash back, and go find something else that works.
And so a big thing I had to learn was not being emotional about it. And there are products that I have no emotion behind, but they sell, so we sell them. Like that holder, I thought, who cares about these bamboo holders? Everyone buys so many of them for so many different uses, and I'm like, I don't know if I'd even put this in my kitchen. I'm like, well, maybe I'd put it in my office or something, or use it as a plant holder. But now, like, people buy them for all sorts of types of reasons. So, and we don't care why people buy it. We just want them to buy it. So I had to stop. We wanted, like, these bowls so bad. We spent tons of time and energy trying to sell these bowls and figuring out if it worked, and it wasn't going to work.
The numbers weren't there. The margins, we couldn't make the margins for the price point we thought we could sell them for, so we just weren't emotional about it, right? Just move on to the next product.
After I had, like, 15 bowls. I have so many bowls.
8 minutes, okay.
Okay.
These are some tools and resources. The ones that, if you're interested in selling on Amazon, especially if you want to do a private label product, the biggest one I would recommend is this Case Studies by Jungle Scout. Jungle Scout is a tool that I highly, highly recommend. It's really good for learning about Amazon, learning what is available, maybe finding some niches in Amazon. And the great thing about these two case studies, they're both by the owner of Jungle Scout. They walk you through from start to end. A lot of people, when they talk on these podcasts and stuff, there's a guy named Scott Volker who talks, he's the amazing seller, and it's very secretive about what he's selling, and you don't really never know how he's doing, and he tells you he does great, but you don't know what he's selling. The great thing about this guy and these two podcasts, he walks you through from beginning to end how to find the product that he's going to sell, how to source the product that he's going to sell, and then listing it, starting it on Amazon. It's kind of beginning to end, soup to nuts. And I really highly recommend those two. The second one, I think, is the newer one, the $1 Million Case Study. Or no, Jungle Sticks is the newer one, Jungle Sticks. And he talks about, they go and find a product, and the product they find is these bamboo sticks. And all of the proceeds that he makes from these go to charity. He's just doing it to try and sell his software and show the process for how valuable it is. So it's really good. I would say mentors is one of the things that helped us succeed most. We actually have an Amazon group that meets once a month. We started out with our mentor in Dallas, who gave us the how to do it. We still use him as a mentor. We got together as a group there, and what it turned into, and this is what I'd caution, it turned into every single time somebody new was coming, and then we're covering the same ground every single time. So our Amazon group, now that we kind of have some prerequisites, I guess, to join, so that you kind of know what you're doing a little bit. So we're bouncing ideas off of each other and helping each other. But we also kind of have it as we don't have anything official with this group. It's just some friends, but we want to be able to mentor other people who want to start. And if we get them to a point where they feel like, hey, they can contribute to our group, then we'll bring them in.
But it's really cool because we're cheerleaders.
Right.
Okay, we're big cheerleaders for each other, and when something you get super disappointed about, someone usually has gone through it and can help you. So always ask questions. Don't be afraid.
These are some tools that I would recommend, software tools, Jungle Scout, Alibaba.com for sourcing. Camel tells you kind of trends about something, so you can see seasonality. If you're going to sell a product and it's ranked really high right now, well, is it always ranked that high, or is it something seasonal? So you want to keep it does kind of the same thing along those lines too. I was going to do a demo, but we don't have time for that.
I think the one other thing that when opportunities arise, learn how to take them and adjust. So when different things like, you're working in your corporate job and you see someone have this awesome idea and you're like, you know what, I think we could do this on Amazon. Instead of watching your favorite shows that night, start researching it. Like, put the time into it and then adjust and be like, years down the road, Cory had the opportunity to quit working and we were going to move to Utah, but then Qualtrics asked him to come work for him, so I had to step up and start doing more. And so it's okay, because we've started hiring employees to help us with things that we're not so excellent at, but we've already learned how to do, so that we could pass it off to somebody else to teach them how to do it the way we want it, and they run with it.
I think if I could share one thing maybe that's most about this list, is don't be afraid to get started. Just go do it.
Yep.
If you're worried about having an LLC or a business license or all the paperwork or taxes or whatever else, don't let that stuff get in your way to start, right? I'm not telling you to not pay your taxes. I'm not telling you to not create a business. What I'm telling you is prove something out first. Once it starts making some money and something's going to work and you want to build a business around it, then go get the LLC. Then make sure you got all your taxes in place. But prove something out first and then go do it. And don't be afraid to try something. Just go try it. And
Reinvest your profits.
yeah, if you can.
We don't use the money that we make from our company. We just keep putting it back in because we live off of the salary that he makes, and we just keep reinvesting it. And now we do investment properties. Like, we try to just keep making money every day with the money that we get from Fast Easy Bread.
I think maybe last thing I'll say, and Russ is giving me a nod here. is don't be a buddy,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so buddies in quotes. We had a guy that was kind of in our Amazon group, learning from our same mentor. He went out and basically copied his idea, right? He went out and did the same exact product. Don't be a buddy. You know, we call him, oh, his buddy, how's Buddy doing? That's not his real name. It's just Buddy, right? So don't be the guy that's going to go copy somebody else's business. If you get people that are going to help you, we're willing to help you. We're willing to help if you want to reach out and have questions or have specific things you want to go through, ideas. We're happy to help, but don't be a buddy. Don't be the guy that's going to come and copy somebody's business or do something else.
Because there are enough crumbs on the Amazon table for everyone. There really are. There's so many things sold on Amazon, especially in October, November, and December.
And don't be worried about, some people say, oh, Amazon, I wish I would have been on the front wave of that, right? The wave's still getting bigger.
Yeah.
It's still time for it. And then last thing, if anyone wants, we're giving away these things right here today. If anybody wants to enter that right here, I don't know if you guys have your laptops or have access to internet, your phones maybe, but feel free to join that, and we'll be giving those away in like 5 or 10 minutes. So,
Yeah.
And if you're not here, we'll give them to Russ, and Russ can track you down.
And you
Any
can go give it
questions?
to your mom.
Yeah.
Being so dependent on one platform like Amazon, did you
Good
thought
question.
of how to invest your money in another platforms or something?
Yeah.
Good question.
That's a really good question, and it's something we're still continuing to work on. So we're trying to build an audience outside of Amazon. So one thing that Amazon has control, they have complete control over your customers. You don't have control over any customer. So if I wanted to run a promotion to my customers, I don't own them. I can't run a promotion to them. I can run a promotion on Amazon, but I can't email them and say, hey, we're having a big promotion or anything like that. So building lists, this is one way to build lists, is to do giveaways, building people who are interested in your business and trying to build your brand outside of Amazon and another sales channel. We're also doing, we're trying to build blogs and niche blogs, niche sites with our websites to build other cash flows, other revenue streams outside of Amazon. But yes, you do want to try and diverse. I'd say start with, if anyone's interested in e-commerce, Amazon is a great starting place.
Yeah.
It's not your finishing point, right? It's a great starting place to start generating cash. Good question. Okay.
For people that have to go. Thank you so much, Cory and Lindsey. Please, round of applause. I know a lot of you have to go. If anyone has time, you're welcome to come up and chat with Cory and Lindsey right now if you've got more questions. That was awesome.
Yeah.